Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly. This is the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog headlines for the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and tell you what's going on this channel and all the things that are happening. So it's July 28th, 2023, and a pretty good smattering of news today. I think there's some interesting things that you guys will enjoy. As always, before I start into the headlines, please subscribe if you haven't yet. It would really help the channel. And any comments or likes are always much appreciated as well. It's just always good to see growth and see people enjoying the content. It makes me motivated to keep doing this. And thank you guys so much for your support. It's been really incredible. So first of the headlines this week, I always like to talk about the newest releases. So there's a couple of really cool releases coming out this weekend that I wanted to discuss. First is The Fierce and the Dead and their album News from the Invisible World. This is a really cool prog album, a little bit heavier, has a lot of different styles in the makes, from psych to surf to stoner to metal. You know, you can hear a lot of influences in their music. They used to be a purely instrumental band, but now they've introduced singing into the group with I believe it's their bassist, Kevin Feasy, who's doing the vocals and does an incredible job on it. So really cool style, a lot of different things going on in the makes. This is a great album to check out, so I definitely recommend it. Very possible one I could review in the near future on the channel, so just to put a pin in that one. But it's a really cool, fun release that I think many of you who like the same music as me will really enjoy, so wanted to put that one out there. Also today, Karnataka released their album Requiem for a Dream, more of a prog folk group from a Welsh prog rock group. So really cool, maybe some similar sounds to like Mostly Autumn, and has a really great, beautiful female vocalist, and so really cool stuff in the mix there. There's some interesting contributions also from various people like Luke Mockchin on guitar, Chris Allen on drums, Nightwish's Troy Donickley, and Gonzalo Carrera playing additional keyboards. So really interesting lineup, really cool album to check out if you're into that more prog folk kind of vibe. And then the third one, Arc Echo, released their album Final Pitch. This is a instrumental prog metal fusion type band. They have played a lot with Dream Theater, I believe, on their tour. So really cool. I think they played on Haken's tour recently also. So a really cool, exciting young band that plays a really cool blend of proggy, instrumental, fusion-y, metal style songs. So something definitely worth checking out. So those are some of the highlighted releases that I found. I know there's many others, so please let me know in the comments of other releases I may have missed that you're interested in for this weekend. Item number 2, Trevor Rabin signs with InsideOutMusic for release of new album Rio, his first vocal solo album in 34 years. So Trevor Rabin, of course, was a prominent member of Yes through the 80s and I believe early 90s. He brought them into somewhat of a more modern aesthetic, you know, especially in that 80s period with 90125 and Big Generator. Some people aren't as big a fan of that sound in his music, but I think people can't deny the talent that he brought to the group and that he was a really incredible figure in the musical world at large. So it's interesting to see him have a solo release coming out on Inside Out. It looks like the solo album is going to be released on the 6th of October, so that should be fun. There should be a single coming out shortly. I'm not sure the date of that, but there's you can pre-save it, if you will, on his site. The track is going to be called Big Mistakes, so should be really cool. He's recently performed with John Anderson and Rick Wakeman as part of the ARW trio that has played for a while, so he's been playing some Yes music with that group. Has some cool solo albums in his past that a lot of people point to as some really strong releases, so should be a really cool release and a really cool get for Inside Out. An interesting artist, and I'm not sure what the album's going to sound like, but it should be a lot of fun for fans of Trevor Rabin and his influence in Yes. Number 3, Bruce Soord announces new solo album Luminescence and a new single Dear Life. Bruce Soord is the multi-instrumentalist, producer, and Pineapple Thief mastermind, and this album is coming out on September 22nd, his third solo offering. and it's supported by a very rare European solo tour in Europe and UK in September. So should be a really cool project, a really cool album. Bruce Soord is a fantastic writer, and I really like this single. I'll talk about it also in the Prog singles list. Just a really beautiful, laid-back, somber type ballad. It's really well done, really beautiful sounding. I really enjoy that. So it should be a really cool album. I think he's known more for a laid-back, dreamier style. You know, Pineapple Thief is compared a lot to Porcupine Tree, so you know it'll have a bit of that type of atmosphere, especially early Porcupine Tree from like the Stupid Dream, era of the group Lightbulb Sun. So there's a bit of that sound in Bruce Soord and in his writing, and it's just really, really well done and should be a really strong album full of great songs. So something to look forward to. It's going to be released as a limited edition deluxe 3-disc hardback book, and also some bunch of different formats: CD, LP, limited edition blue LP, digital, and in Dolby Atmos. So a lot of cool features to the album, and it should sound really sonically rich and really well crafted. So I'm really excited about that. Another thing I'm really excited about is District 97 announcing their new album Stay for the Ending, which is coming out through Spirit of Unicorn Records on October 20th. I really love District 97. They're from Chicago here in the U.S. Incredible prog rockers with a female lead in Leslie Hunt. She's a fantastic vocalist. She was on American Idol briefly and somehow got roped into a progressive rock band, but it's fantastic. The sound that they display is just really intricate and carefully crafted, but with some cool pop vocal hooks that she brings into the mix as well. So it's a really great blend of styles. I really particularly like their second album, Trouble with Machines, and their third album, In Vaults. I feel like those two albums are the pinnacle of their output so far. I wasn't so high on their last album, 2019 Screens, which I thought didn't quite portray the sound of the band as much as I thought. I think it's them somewhat getting their footing after some big lineup changes, so wasn't quite my favorite. There was still some good stuff on it that I enjoyed. I think there's still some solid pieces on it, but there's a lot of buzz and interest in their new project, which sounds like it's going to be really great. The band's really hyping it up and saying it's one of their best records that they've produced yet. Strongest collection of songs we've ever assembled, Jonathan Shang remarks. And Leslie Hunt says this record presents us at our most collaborative and dynamic. So really cool. And even Bill Bruford, classic Yes and King Crimson drummer, stated that quality, expertise, and passion, Stay for the Ending is a massive piece of which District 97 should feel justly proud. So really cool. And they're playing some support dates as well around the release of the album, so you can check that out on their website as well. But I'm really excited. It'll definitely be an album well covered on this channel that I'm really excited to talk about. And then finally, item number 5, Roger Waters is premiering his Dark Side Redux at the London Palladium in October. So I talked about this last week, I believe, this Dark Side of the Moon redo that Roger Waters is doing. He released a track of Money with mixed reactions. Some people enjoyed it, but some people were a little bit like, what's the point of this, and he's taking away from a brilliant song. I'm somewhere in the middle, I suppose. I'm not really a fan of it and the aesthetic of it, the weird spoken vocals and all that kind of stuff. Just not really my thing. And I'm not a huge fan of Roger Waters and his solo works, and just his general aesthetic in these later days. So, but I just wanted to report it because it seems interesting. It's going to be a live show at the London Palladium in October, and should be an interesting performance, I suppose. On stage will be many of the musicians who worked with him on the album, including Gus Seifert on bass, Joey Waronker on drums, Jonathan Wilson on guitars, Johnny Shepard on organ, Via Mardot on theremin, Asneev Korkajan on vocals, Gabe Noel on strings, John Karen on keyboards, and Robert Walter on piano. So a pretty big collective of different musicians performing this Dark Side Redux. So it should be interesting to see what comes of that. So in our singles list, like I mentioned, we have Bruce Soord's Dear Life, really incredible single from his upcoming solo album that I really recommend you guys check out. I have a single from Kairos called Illusions Inside featuring Dominique Gilbert. These are UK synth proggers who really emphasize that 80s style sound, but infuse a lot of cool proggy elements. They're one of my favorite, more obscure, newer prog bands. I think they're really underrated, and it's a really cool track if you like that poppy 80s aesthetic, but done with a proggy bent. I think this is really fun to listen to. I have Einar Solberg's Over the Top in my third spot here. He released a video of a one-shot vocal take of this, which is incredible. He's one of the best vocalists, of course, from the Leprous. He's the frontman of Leprous, and he released his solo album 16 earlier this year, which I reviewed and really loved. So this is one of the premiere tracks from it that I think you all will enjoy, so it's a really cool video. Then I have Polyphia's Reverie at number 4. They did a video from their recent album, cool US instrumental prog quartet, really intricate, complex, gent, metal style really, but with some jazzy inflections. Just a really creative instrumental outfit that's getting some more universal acclaim than just within the prog community. So really cool little video they put out with scenes from them on tour and such. So definitely worth your time to look at. And then something new to me that I discovered, Reese Marsh, We'll See You Again, a Norwegian-based musician, a very reflective and personal track, but really beautiful sounding from his upcoming album Towards the West, which will be released through his own label on September 1st. So a really pleasant song, and I think many of you will enjoy. Really cool stuff. So that's what we have for our show today. Hopefully you enjoyed some of those items, and like I say, please put any news items or new releases or new singles that you've uncovered in the comments section. That's always one of my favorite pieces of this, is when people bring things to my attention that I wasn't aware of or that I had just forgotten about. So thank you guys for doing that. It's really always appreciated. On the channel itself, I thought this was a pretty cool week. A couple of really interesting reviews that I would recommend you guys check out on the channel. Sometimes these newer prog reviews don't do so well, which is understandable because they're more obscure acts, and obviously people aren't as inclined to click on something they're not familiar with. But if you like a lot of the same bands and artists I do, I really recommend you check them out anyways. Dream the Electric Sleep was the first one with their album American Mystic. Really cool rock band with progressive leanings, really great catchy hooks, and a really fun album to just listen through from front to back. And then I also did The Anchorets' new album. It all began with Loneliness, which is much more in the heavier prog metal sphere, a little bit of an Opeth sound to them, but not really delving into those growling, harsh vocals. So it's a really palatable experience, and they infuse it with a lot of cool proggy touches, with some really cool proggy keyboards, courtesy of Andy Tillison, and some saxophone and some flute sounds, really breaking up the heaviness and creating a really cool sonic sound. Then we had a really great Jana Reacts episode where we did Take a Pebble from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which we really enjoyed, and a lot of people seem to really like that episode, Prog Song Sunday, I should say. And so, really cool lineup of stuff. This week, I think, should be a lot of fun as well. We're doing a recording session this weekend, me and Jana, so I'm not sure what we're going to be reacting to this Sunday, but it should be a fun time. We'll shuffle into whatever the track is that we talk about. Also, I'm doing a review of the Chronicles of Father Rabin, which is a big, sprawling 3-disc mega package of a concept album with members of Wobbler and different Norwegian prog acts. A really cool project that I've been itching to talk about. And then I'm going to do a top 5 of the top 5 classic concept albums. So that should be a really fun time. I think a lot of you will enjoy that topic. So really cool times ahead. After that, there'll probably be a short break just for a week or a few days as I celebrate my birthday. So that should be fun coming up in a week. So good times ahead, and I hope you guys are all having fun out there and enjoying the music. So thank you guys for all your support, and I'll hopefully catch you in a future episode. Bye, everybody!